Guys, the crew have collated in the one spot at the one time once again to bring you the Z33 350z, Z34 370z Drift e-brake shoes. That Q-tip you've been jamming into your ears has not done that much damage, as you heard that correctly. We now have e-brake shoes designed specifically to bite into that brake rotor harder than you digging into the snack drawer in those days you're just so done with things. Although these are an OEM replacement, our engineers wanted to make them better than what Nissan could offer from the factory, with them offering 50% more bite than the OEM shoe straight from cold temperatures. Our guys pumped some more juicy features into these bad mama jammas, and if you don't know already, we pump that juicy information straight back into the website, where we update that as often as possible. So if you ever needed to know anything, such as what models they fit, the bedding in procedure, or any other questions you may have about these pads, this very video is what you're going to want to watch, and or go to the website to get any information you needed. Now, the first and most important step you're going to want to do is go inside the car and put your e-brake lever down. Next step is to head on over to the back side, and after taking off your wheels, obviously, you want to head to the knuckle and loosen and remove the two caliper bolts, getting those out of the way for now. Now, as you may have guessed, that given the color of these calipers, yes, this is actually Bumblebee, and we are trying to hide the fact, so please keep that on the low. Move Bumblebee's calipers out of the way and hang them up safely with a zip tie and or other hanging device. Now, Bumblebee's rotors probably haven't been changed in a while and may be seized. If they are and you're lucky, you can give it a little love tap with a mallet on the hat. Be careful not to hit a wheel stud or the rear fender, depending on how bad of a swinger you are. And in our case, we've got great aim and are lucky that they weren't that seized on and came off. Once you're in, you can see the OEM shoes, which from all these years in e-brake pulls in the back of a Denny's parking lot have probably seen better days. Anywho, rotate the hub so you can gain some clear access, and you'll see a slotted retaining pin, washer, and spring. The backing plate is slotted, so the pins lock when horizontal and unlock when vertical. Sling your medium-sized flathead screwdriver into said slot, push inwards, and turn, then release. Remove the pin, spring, and washer from that side, then do the same for the other. Now, there are a couple ways to take everything apart from here. One of them is to hold each shoe on each side and pull them apart like you would a cheese-stuffed pizza pocket. Doing this will make the top adjuster fall out of its slot and out of the way, which when you stop pulling the pizza pocket apart, the spring will not have any tension on it and can be removed without losing an eye. Now that that's done, eat the pizza pocket, remove the spring and the adjuster. Then grab either shoe and pull them downwards and then up and over the e-brake lever, as we want to remove them with the bottom spring still attached, as for now that's easier. Now, with these out of the way, you can really see how dirty everything is and what was probably causing that high-pitched racket every time you rip that e-brake. Anywho, on the screen now is everything you should have removed, and if you've removed any less, go back and rewatch the video. Any more, and who knows what the hell you're doing, and maybe watch these videos twice. While we were there, we took a look at the shoes we were replacing, and lucky we did, they were Toast Malone. And no wonder this thing wasn't locking up like it should. Now that these old and dusty boys are out of the way, get some brake clean, grab that quarter left in the can, and spray the backing plate down as best you can and give it a wipe. You want this thing as clean as possible. Then while you're there, go ahead and lay the accessories out on an old rag, give them a nice little spray, just like a magic trick. Give them an old-fashioned rub together with that rag, and boom, they're all clean, neat, and tidy, and no camera tricks were involved here whatsoever. Now that we're all clean, we can go ahead and apply some grease from the contact points of the shoes, which I might add is a super majestic and satisfying shot right there. Anywho, you want to do this in all the spots we are showing you on the screen to avoid being that squealer at the next track day and or traffic light. Now go ahead and get your Ultra Bite 3000 drift shoes, and keeping in mind to fit them the right way and having the large notch that is on the top side of the shoe facing the top and the small baby notch at the bottom. Now go ahead and whack that thing up into the backing plate, lining up the retaining pin hole as you can see we're doing here on the screen. Once lined up, go ahead and throw in the retaining pin, the spring, and the washer through the side holes. Get your trusty flathead screwdriver, and with the pin vertical, go ahead and push that ish in until horizontally locking that sucker in place. Get your other shoe and clip that into the bottom of the e-brake lever and do the exact same thing we just literally mentioned. Push, twist, click, and dunk that retaining pin into place, locking it in. If your shoe was a little bit tricky to get in, you can adjust it into place like we're demonstrating on the screen. So long as that pin is fitted correctly and locked in, the shoe will settle into place on its own nice and easily. Now up on the screen, this is the top adjuster. This is the main man that does all the adjusting for the shoes. One side is threaded, the other is non-threaded, and it just floats there. Get that grease from earlier and smear it all over the inside of the insert on the non-threaded floater side and throw that back into the adjuster. That way it can move freely. Go ahead and throw the adjuster back into the top side of the shoes so it can be the meat in the shoe sandwich. Then get the top spring and clip it into one side of the shoe, then get a small pick or a screwdriver, hook it into the spring and walk it across into its place. Now do the same thing we just did on the top side but on the bottom side, which is to install the spring on one side, jab that pick or baby screwdriver into the hole in the bottom side of the shoe, then walk that spring across. Now unfortunately it isn't all sunshine and rainbows from here. That adjuster we just spoke on before needs to be adjusted to put the shoes in their spot, being as they are thicker than the OEM ones. So don't skip this step and attempt to fit your OEM rotors without adjusting the goddamn shoes first. So Adjuster 101, school's in session, ladies and gentlemen. As we mentioned before, the adjuster simply expands and contracts the shoes apart. As you can see on our little demo, flicking the adjuster downwards expands the shoes and flicking it upwards obviously contracts them. Get it? Got it? Good? Great. Let's go. Now Rotors 101 class, if you're reusing your OEM rotor, then you need to machine the inside of the rotor. This is known as resurfacing. This is essentially just machines out the years of abuse, scores, and usage that these rotors have been through. This is super important and a must do so that brand new Ultrabite 3000 shoes that we're fitting can actually bite into a brand new surface and they bed in together and live happily ever after, e-brake yank after e-brake yank. If you're replacing your discs with brand new units, then there's no need to machine them obviously, as they're fresh and can be fitted and bedded as usual. These will also live happily ever after. Now that that fairy tale is ended and your shoes have been backed off all the way, you can fit your goddamn rotor up and go ahead and whack that rotor on. Make sure it turns freely and there's no weird noises or that it's caught in anything you may have muddled up. And pro tip, if you have a wheel nut, go ahead and throw that on the wheel stud and tighten that down. You want the rotor sitting as it would with the wheel on, so nice and flat. Now pluck that pesky little adjuster dust cap off the rotor and turn the rotor and line up the inspection hole to the adjuster. Now we'll pop up what the adjuster is actually doing in a cute little side window, but essentially you flick the adjuster downwards and expand the shoes as much as possible. This stretches the shoes out and gets them into place. Now try and rotate said rotor and it shouldn't move. If it does, then you haven't stretched the shoes out all the way. From here, flick the adjuster upwards so that the shoes contract and release their ultra lockjaw bite. Then flick the adjuster in increments of one click at a time, then check by rotating the rotor. What you're doing is slowly checking the rotor to shoe drag and listening for it also. That way you can hear how much drag the shoes have, and what you want to be aiming to listen for is where the shoes to just barely make contact with the rotor. There is no nominal amount of clicks, as it depends on how much Larry from the machine shop took off your rotor and or the brand new rotors have that you are using. Now if you can't really feel or hear it, it's best to go less than you need. So further contracted, then maybe add a click down the line if you find your e-brake handle has way too much throw in it. Now fit back up that pesky little adjuster dust cap you for sure didn't lose. You totally lost it, didn't you? If you did find it, put it back in. Now for the smart dudes that listened to our little pro tip from earlier, go ahead and remove that little wheel nut that you put on to hold the rotor in place once you're happy with everything. Go ahead and throw Bumblebee's ultra bright caliper back on that almost blinded us whilst directly looking at it. Throw the top and bottom caliper bolts through their respective locations to secure Bumblebee's caliper in place, then tighten and torque that little hydraulic lemon to the specs shown right here on the screen. Head back in and make sure the e-brake lever isn't too high so that you fist pump the roof and it has a nice couple of clicks, also making sure it isn't super short, which would indicate you'd adjusted the shoes too tightly. Now from here guys, throw your wheels on and bed in these ultra bitey boys, which we might as well add as an extremely goddamn important thing. So please do not skip this step, otherwise you'll have a really bad time and the shoes and rotors will not live happily ever after and will get divorced, then the kids, the alimony, and you'll have to drive across state to see your kid once a week and you have squeaky e-brake shoes and you will hate everything. Don't do it. Live happily ever after and bed those goddamn shoes in. Speaking of living happily ever after, these dudes are totally betting in their brakes as we speak, and they're throwing these videos together for your knowledge, enjoyment, and hopefully a smile or two or three. If you don't know what you're doing, please ask a professional for assistance, or hey, we have professionals that are part of the Gktech fam. You can always hit us up via electronic mail and we can help you out. This has been another one with Officer Dan, Johnny Caps, and DK with the Ultra Install 3000 video coming at you once again. Catch you on the flip side. Peace.